believe we are, in fact, good. Well, okay, that's working. All right, this should be going live in 3 minutes. We are going to, in fact, turn on headphones so we're not dual dipping the recording. Oh, God, getting this shit set up is gonna kill me. Okay, the only thing is I just need to change. Let's just make sure that this works still.
I play Dub.
Yeah, it sure does. Okay.
When our numbers guy is out, the deals on the most affordable German-engineered car brand get even better.
Dude.
Sign then drive is in while Frank is out. Lease a new 2025 Tiguan for $0 down, 0 deposit, 0 first month's payment, and 0 do-it signing. Limited inventory available.
Trying to get this situated here. Give me 1 second.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2, and welcome to GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal for what's coming next for Path of Exile 2. Twitch drops are enabled on today's livestream, so you'll be able to claim your Verdant Wilds dodge roll effect by following the instructions below. Now today it's finally time to show off a new class that we know everyone in the community's been waiting for. So let's roll the trailer for Path of Exile 2, The Last of the Druids.
Well, well. What have we got here then?
You lost, fella?
Hey, we're talking to you.
I asked you a question.
What's wrong with him?
He's lost his bloody mind.
Man.
I will find you, Eve.
Oh no.
Now as you can see, the Druid is a shape-shifting elemental spellcaster. After his fellow Druids were destroyed by the King in the Mists, the Druid lost his humanity in the forests of Ogham, where he wandered for years as a beast. Now, finally reawakened, he's determined to find his lost wife and regain his humanity. The Druid has been one of the hardest classes for us to design. As well as having human spells, he has 3 animal forms, and we wanted to make sure that there were interesting combos between all of them. The Druid is our first hybrid strength and intelligence class. That means he needs to have the ability to use spells and attacks. As a human, the Druid typically uses magical staves to harness the powers of the earth and the natural world. One of the first skills you will learn is the ability to create small volcanoes from the earth. This skill spits out balls of magma at your enemies, and will continue to do so for some time. While the volcano is active, turn into an animal and wade into melee range. Many of the skills you use as a human last for a significant period of time, giving you a good chance to turn into an animal and rage out. But how do you turn into an animal, you may ask? Well, the answer is a new weapon type that Druids use, animal talismans. When you equip an animal talisman, you can choose which animal form you would like the talisman to represent. Depending on what you choose, you'll be given that animal's basic attack as a new skill to equip. For a bear, that's Maul. To turn into a bear, simply use the skill. Your character will instantly transform into a bear and attack. If you want to change back to a human, just cast a spell. You will instantly swap back and cast it. We wanted to make sure that swapping between forms was seamless and immediate. Changing forms should be something that you do without even thinking about it all the time in battle. In order to allow for hybrid melee and caster gameplay, most of the skills you use in your human form last for some time and aid your animal skills in some way. The volcano we used earlier will emit more molten balls whenever you hit it with a slam, making it perfect for use with your bear form's Furious Slam. While in bear form, many of your abilities use Rage. There are a lot of ways to generate Rage, but the easiest one is simply smash your enemies with Maul. Once you see the runes on your back glowing, it means you have enough rage to do a much more devastating version of your Furious Slam. Your bear form can also go on a rampage, stomping the ground as you demolish your foes. The more rage you have, the longer the rampage lasts, and doing it over a volcano makes it even better. As you consume rage, your bear form will generate endurance charges, and these can be used with skills like Ferocious Roar. Ferocious Roar is a war cry that empowers your subsequent attacks to break your opponent's armor. The more endurance charges you have when you use it, the more empowered attacks you will gain. But Ferocious Roar has another special feature too. It's a meta gem that allows you to socket any Warcry gem from another class into it, giving you the ability to use these skills as a bear. Use the Warrior's Infernal Cry skill to make your enemies explode. Or use Seismic Cry to stun your enemies and double up the number of slams you do. You can even use it with Ancestral Call, a skill that turns you into the fire god Cow. Ever wondered what the Karui god of war would look like if he was a bear? Well, wait no longer. Finally, build up enough rage and you can use one of the bear's ultimate abilities, Walking Calamity. This skill summons a storm of fire around you for some time, while generating even more rage to power your other abilities. A true bear apocalypse. Now the bear is known for being a slower and more lumbering animal, with slower attacks and heavy slams. But what if you want to turn into something a little more nimble? Well, let's check out the second animal form for the Druid, Wolf form. For the Wolf form, we want it to go fast and furious. Even just the Wolf's basic attack will leap forward and rake his foes. After attacking, the Wolf stands up on two legs, but after running for a short time, he goes back on all fours, allowing to move more quickly between packs of enemies. The Wolf has a lot of cold attacks based on his association with the moon, and the first of these is Lunar Assault. It's great for freezing your enemies in place. After they're frozen, use your basic rake attack to knock shards of ice off your enemies, which land on the ground nearby and explode. If you want to get into battle quickly, you can use your pounce attack. This skill leaps at a target and applies a mark to them. Killing the marked enemy will summon a wolfman into your side, allowing them to fight with you. Mark and kill as many enemies as you can to build up a sizable pack. While an enemy is marked, your wolves will prioritize that target and do more damage the more wolves you have. So make sure you keep your pack strong. Now, one problem you might run into is your wolf pack dying in boss fights. You often don't have any enemies that you can mark and kill in order to regenerate your pack. To deal with this problem, you can use Cross Slash. Cross Slash jumps backwards and does a vicious double slash. Any marks on your target explode and triggers their abilities. This allows you to pounce to mark an enemy and then summon a wolf even without killing it. Cross Slash also has another feature though. Remember those ice fragments from before? Well, Cross Slash will propel any ice shards on the ground towards its central target. First, freeze your enemies with Lunar Assault. Then rake them to create as many ice fragments as you can. Then follow up with Cross Slash to generate a field of icy explosions to obliterate your enemies. If they're still alive after that, your pack of wolves can finish them off.
I love this game.
Just like with the Bear's Raw skill earlier that allows you to use skills from other classes, Pounce is also a meta gem that you can socket mark skills from other classes into. So for example, you might want to try adding Freezing Mark from the Monk to Pounce. After pouncing at an enemy, Cross Slash to explode the mark and gain extra cold damage for a time. The Wolf has many other ways to go all in on cold though. Using the Arctic Howl Warcry will allow you to add cold damage and chilled ground to any slam, while buffing your pack of wolves as well. You can also use it to freeze enemies that are close to being frozen, making it much faster to use your other combos. Finally, the wolf also has the ability to call down the power of the moon to transform into an Arctic werewolf with Lunar Blessing. In this form, you move and attack more quickly and deal extra cold damage. Consuming Rage will extend the duration of your Arctic wolf form, so you could try a hybrid bear and wolf build if you want to utilize the skill to its full effect. Alright, Let's talk about the third form available to the Druid, and I think it's a cool one, the Wyvern. The Wyvern has a number of long-range breath abilities, but that doesn't mean you can't get into melee range when you want to. The basic attack of the Wyvern is Rend. Jump forward into combat and slash your enemies with your lethal talons. If they're close to being stunned, you can blow them off balance with a blast from your wings, causing an explosion of damage. After the battle, though, it's time to feed. Devour the corpses of monsters to create power charges, and this is when the Wyvern's abilities really come online. When using Rend, you can consume a power charge to charge up your wings with lightning. Not only does this do a bunch of damage, but it allows you to turn this melee skill into a much larger AoE attack. Once your wings are charged, your Wing Blast will also do lightning explosions for even more damage. If your enemies are close to death, no need to wait for them to actually die. When you see this blue marker, just devour them alive. Fresh meat is much tastier after all. Alright, so those are some melee options, but how about range? Well, you wouldn't be much of a dragon if you couldn't breathe fire after all. Rolling Magma is the first of the Wyvern's breath attacks. Spit balls of fire that bounce along the ground. These balls will trigger volcanoes as well, so it's a good idea to cast one as a human right before you start spitting. But that's not all you can spit. You have something a little nastier in that gullet of yours. Spitting a barrage of oil at your enemies will cover them in a viscous sludge that makes them easier to ignite. If you have power charges, though, plant your wings in the ground and vomit a barrage of lightning-infused projectiles. The more power charges you have, the longer you can do this for. But make sure you keep your foes at range. You're vulnerable to melee attacks while channeling this skill. In order to help with that, let's take a quick diversion back to some of your human abilities. As a Druid of Scoth, you have the ability to harness the power of nature to create entangling vines to slow down your enemies. Another of nature's punishments is the thunderstorm. Creating one of these will create periodic strikes of lightning from the sky, and will also make your enemies wet. Why is that useful? Well, of course, things that are wet are easier to shock. Use it with lightning damage from your Wyvern form to enhance your damage. Making things wet also makes them easier to freeze, so it works nicely with your wolf form as well. And you know what else likes water? Plants. Water your plants to give them various extra abilities. Use Lightning Storm with Entangle to make them last longer, and attach more vines to each enemy, slowing them further. Summon Thrashing Vines to slam at your enemies for a time. Any that are created in water will be larger and deal more damage. Now then, with our enemies sufficiently subdued with our plants, time to really lay into them with our lightning-infused barrage. Now, this last Wyvern ability is just ridiculous, but we felt like we had to do it. Use Flame Breath to take to the skies and rain down a stream of fire on your enemies. You have wings, so we have to take full advantage of them after all. So fly around and burn in it. Now there are a few other skills we didn't cover, but there's one in particular that I think will open up a lot of builds. Spell Totems. Spell Totems are meta gems that let you create a totem that will automatically cast any spell in the game for a time. In order to create one, you will need to spend 3 endurance or 3 power charges. You could use them to throw fireballs, summon comets, or shower the area in lightning. Really, the options are kind of endless. Your bear form can easily generate endurance charges by consuming rage, and your wyvern form can easily create power charges by eating corpses. So it's pretty easy for the druid to get the charges needed, but they're also available from quite a few other places as well. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of different spellcaster classes thinking about how best to take advantage of these.
Where are you collecting these charts?
Now, of course, along with a new class comes a bunch of new support gems. We've added over 30 new supports throughout the game, but I'll show you a few of the cooler ones here. Fan the Flames can be added to any wind skill to spread fire from one ignited enemy to the other enemies behind them. It's great for the Wyvern's Wing Blast. We can also use it on many other classes with wind skills, like the Twisters on the Huntress, or the Monk's Staggering Palm Projectiles. Accelerated Growth causes extra explosive plants to erupt from the ground whenever you grow plants with rain. And Advancing Storm changes storm skills like your Thunderstorm or Tornado to move across the battlefield. It's great for watering plants en masse, or to turn tornadoes into a real disaster by sucking up multiple ground effects as they travel along. and the sorceress might like to use it with Firestorm as well. Echoing Cry causes your Warcry skills to echo. They will repeat a couple more times with a delay after you use them, giving you more empowered attacks. Use it for the Druid's animal form Warcries, or on the Warrior for a nice power boost. Grounding Shocks causes monsters you shock to turn into living Tesla coils, arcing lightning to nearby enemies. You could use it with your empowered wings for an extra damage boost, but it's also great with any other shocking skill. Try it out with Lightning Spear. It obviously needed more AoE clear. There's a whole pile more, but we'll leave those for you to discover. Now with a new class comes new Ascendancy classes. The Druid will have 2 options for now, with a third being released later. The first class is the Shaman. The Shaman channels nature's elemental fury and can harness rage as a spellcaster, unifying his animalistic and magical tendencies. By allocating Druidic Champion, you gain spell damage the angrier you are, and with Furious Wellspring, you generate rage continuously and can spend it to empower your spells. With the knowledge of the Asmerian Magi, the Shaman can harness untapped power from runes and idols. After allocating Wisdom of the Magi, you will notice that all runes and idols have extra mods only available to the Shaman. These new mods unlock countless new possibilities for enhancing your build. You can also allocate Bringer of the Apocalypse, allowing you to become a walking natural disaster. After dealing enough elemental damage, storms of all elements rain around you, destroying all who would face nature's fury. There are other abilities for the Shaman, but I'll just show a few from each class for now. The other Druid Ascendancy is the Oracle. The Oracle perfected the power of foresight and utilizes this in combat to gain massive advantage. When taking Fateful Vision, you will see visions of your future self using specific skills. If you decide to follow this path by using the skill yourself, it will do significantly more damage. And with Converging Paths, at a critical moment in battle when a monster is vulnerable to freeze, stun, or electrocution, the Oracle can use Moment of Vulnerability to see a vision of the enemy's future, and then merge it with the current timeline, allowing him to deal damage to both. And one of my favorites, when you first become an Oracle, you'll notice over 130 new extra passives appear in the Druid section of the tree. By allocating the Unseen Path, you use your power of foresight to learn from alternate futures and gain skills that would otherwise be unavailable to you. For example, self-sacrificing allows you to be able to summon more minions by reducing the spirit costs, with the trade-off of making your reservation skills cost more spirit. Or Corruption Endures, which allows oracles to have a small chance to avoid death. Both the Druid Ascendancies offer interesting and unique ways to gain modifiers that no other classes can get, so we're expecting a huge variety of build possibilities from these. Now there are unique talismans for the Druid to use as well. We won't spoil all of them, but this one was particularly cool. Fury of the King turns your bear form into a fire demon, converting most of your damage to fire. As a demon, you can also use Molten Crack, a jumping slam attack that leaves fissures around you. This unique also continuously grants glory, allowing you to use your ultimate abilities more easily.
If that makes sense to you.
Now, of course, the Druid isn't the only thing we're adding to 040. We still have a bunch more to show. With every new release, we create a new league with new mechanics, new pinnacle bosses, and with a new story to tell. And this time is no exception. So let's roll the trailer for the Fate of the Vaal.
The palace of Queen Atziri. It is a ruin, but in the dark, machines still churn. The temple has many functions, and with it, a chance to save the Vaal. A gateway through time. Travel into the past, again, again. Alter the temple, uncover its secrets. You'll be rewarded for your sacrifice. And somewhere, in the deepest chamber, my queen awaits. I beg of you, hear me. The beast cannot give you what you desire.
You may have studied it, Doriani, but you do not know it like I do. It adores me. Come now, give unto me your desire. At last, fulfill my soul.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. In the Fate of the Vaal League, you will find remnants of the ancient Vaal civilization scattered throughout Rayclast. They seem to attract nearby creatures and affect them strangely. After killing them, the remnant appears to gain some amount of power, but not enough to fully activate it. It seems you will need to find 5 more of these arcane devices, and sacrifice the monsters you find there to fully activate one. But things don't always go to plan. These devices are old, and sometimes infected by corruption. Twisted versions of ancient Vaal may emerge, and sometimes even stronger foes. On fully activating one of the devices, you finally discover its true purpose. A portal opens and takes you deep underground to a lost temple, once the home of Atziri, Queen of the Vaal. What treasures could still be inside? I think you're going to want to find out. In front of the entrance is a console of some kind, and on activating it, you can see a map of the temple. Atziri's personal chambers are on the far side, but how could anyone get there? There are disconnected rooms, and the layout doesn't seem to make sense. And that's when you realize the purpose of the ancient devices scattered through Rayclast. The temple is powered by sacrifice, and this energy can be used to modify the very structure of the temple itself. Each time you run the temple, you will be given 6 rooms that you can place, allowing you to craft your own dungeon to explore. Place paths to link up the dungeon, and place rooms beside them full of precious loot. After you are happy with your choices, open the temple, and discover the results of your efforts. Each room contains different challenges along with its rewards. On entering a room, the doors will slam shut behind you, and you will need to face the encounter within. But choose wisely. It's important where you place the rooms to get maximum returns. For example, when placing a commander, you could just place it anywhere along an existing path, but a much better strategy is to place it next to a garrison of troops for him to command. With better leadership, the garrison will level up, making the monsters harder, but also more rewarding. Different rooms have different requirements for leveling up. For example, if you want to fully level up a smithy, you will need to supply it with golems from an adjacent golem works, and hook up a generator to the power network to supply it with power. After doing so, the golems will be powered up, making them much more dangerous. You don't need to memorize what interacts with what. When selecting a room, you will be shown the locations that will make other rooms level up, and exactly what effect it will have on the temple. After running the temple, a few of the rooms will destabilize and be removed. It will be up to you to rebuild the temple, adding 6 more rooms each time you come back, making the temple larger and larger and larger. So, that's the basic functionality of the temple, but there is a lot more. Once Doriani finds out about your travels to Laraval, he will attempt to persuade you to take on a new mission. The temple entrance contains a prototype of the time portal device. It will be able to take you back in time, but only to one specific point, right before Atziri triggered the cataclysm that destroyed the Vaal. He requests that you go back and attempt to stop Atziri to prevent the Vaal from ever being destroyed. Atziri is on the far side of the temple, so you will need to expand the temple significantly to get to her. And even worse, her chambers can only be unlocked by a room that isn't currently accessible to you. In order to deal with that, you are going to need to visit the architect of the temple. To get to him, you will need to place path runes. But while doing so, you will probably want to exploit some of the Vaal technology only available in the past. Once you can travel into the past, a whole new set of rooms are available to you, and they have some pretty insane rewards. At level 1, the corruption chamber can be used to corrupt a single item. But placing it next to a thaumaturge to run the place, and a sacrificial chamber to provide soul energy, you'll be able to level it up. And it's worth it. Because once you get the room to level 3, there are some very nice rewards to be had. In a level 3 corruption chamber, you will find this mysterious device. It has a slot to place an item, and it only accepts items that are already corrupted. What will happen to them? Well, normally once an item is corrupted, you can't modify it any further. But this device allows you to corrupt your item a second time, adding another enchantment. This has the capability to craft some very powerful items indeed. But be warned, the Vaal are all about taking risks in the pursuit of power. There is a 50% chance that the item will be destroyed.
That sucks.
Each room has its own interesting mechanics and rewards when it levels up.
Like 50%.
Many of them contain bosses to fight, special drops, and in many cases, new crafting opportunities. For example, a level 3 alchemy lab has a nasty Vaal construct to fight, but if you can defeat it, you can find new corrupted soul cores. Like Guatalitzi's Thesis, which on boots allows you to sacrifice your life to run faster. Or Sita Qualottl's Thesis, which on gloves will revive one of your minions whenever an offering expires. Get a sacrificial chamber to level 3, and you will need to face a highborn priest of sacrifice. Defeat him to be able to further corrupt a Vaal unique, modifying it in unpredictable ways. One of the mods of this unique will be removed and replaced with another random mod. For example, this Soul Mantle. It gives you an additional totem, but lowers your totem's life and curses you when they die. By using the machine, this could result in a terrible item if you remove the good mod, but also some amazing items if you replace the downside. Now, one extra thing to mention about these Vaal crafting machines. You don't have to take the items you want to craft into the temple. If you don't have the item you want to craft with you at the time, then clicking this button will allow you to create a currency item instead, allowing you to do the craft later or trade it if you want. Now, there are all sorts of interesting rooms you can find in the temple, but the last one I want to show you today is the Flesh Surgeon. A Vaal Flesh Surgeon can be leveled up by placing him next to a high-level synth flesh lab. But be careful. The Flesh Surgeon has some rather unpleasant experiments in his personal lab. Afterwards, you might notice the surgery table just sitting there. The Vaal are great at crafting items. Why not do some crafting on yourself? After laying down, you'll be asked which limb you'd like to replace. Left arm, perhaps your right leg. Each limb can get a different set of random bonuses, so choose wisely. After getting up from the table, try out your new limb. It seems to work fine, and even perform better than your normal one. Now, there is just one thing with replacing body parts. If you die and are resurrected, your body will return to its natural state. You might need to return to the Vaal Surgeons if you want another robot arm, and maybe get a better one next time. Some rooms, like the Commander, can give you a new type of reward. Medallions that can be used to manipulate the temple in other ways.
It's a good one.
Using a
This game is
Queeperlatal's medallion
insane
will
with
allow
other
you to
gameplay.
artificially boost a room, even if it doesn't meet the normal requirements to
And it's
level up.
sad, but it's crazy.
And a Huatalotli's medallion will stop
This
rooms
is
from
where we should be in
destabilizing when you
2025.
complete a temple, allowing you to guarantee getting a reward
really
a
nice.
second time. Great if you want to stock up on double corrupts. Now, with all that aside, time to face the Architect, and you will be in for a fight. Once defeated, you will find another console that can be used to modify the temple. But this one is special. It allows you to place new types of rooms with specific rewards. There are rooms with specific uniques, special runes, and currency. But also a few other, more niche crafting experiments. Like this one, that can extract the soccer balls back out of an item, at the cost of
Nice.
destroying it.
Oh,
Now, something really important is every league we release a significant amount of content for the in-game. In order to make sure that the Fate of the Veil works well for late-game players, we've added many mechanics to make sure that you can scale the difficulty and rewards to match. Getting some rooms to level 3 adds extra mods to the entire dungeon, and these stack with each other. So in endgame, when you can get some really big temples, you can generate a challenge that can even match the strongest of characters. We also start to introduce ways to store up energy for the temple, allowing you to save up many runs so you can do them later at your leisure, and not interrupt your mapping too often. Now in each league, it's important that we have a new pinnacle boss to test your character's might. In the Fate of the Veil, you will get to face Adzeri while she was at the peak of her power. One of the rewards you will gain by defeating the Architect is the ability to place the Royal Access Chamber. Once connected to your temple, you can visit it to finally reach the Queen of the Veil herself. This fight takes place at a critical moment in history, right as Adzeri communes with the beast's power and takes her true corrupted form. Now, we are not going to show you the whole
Why,
fight,
titty bitch?
but we will tempt you with one of the rewards. This is Adzeri's rule. This staff gives additional levels to all of your corrupted gems and lets you trade life for extra damage. But in addition to that, while using the staff, mirrors of refraction will constantly appear on the battlefield. Any projectile you fire at these will split into a nova, and they can chain from one to the other. So, that's the Fate of the Veil League. But we are also bringing the previous league, Rise of the Abyssal, into the core game, along with a few changes. Now, for those of you who haven't seen what happens when a league is over, it's important to understand that you will not be seeing abysses in every area anymore. Rise of the Abyssal is now one of the league mechanics that can show up randomly in endgame. If you want to specialize in running abysses, there is now a tablet that will allow you to add them to any map you run. You can also craft the tablet to add abyss-specific mods to enhance how they function. Now that Abyss is core, it also needs its own Atlas tree. You can gain your first points by completing an Abyss. But there are more available for doing depths and killing certain bosses. And there are a bunch of different options. You might just want more monsters and bosses. But you can also make finishing an Abyss have a chance to overrun a nearby map with the Abyssal. Or make your Waystone modifiers also apply to Abyssal depths. You could specialize in the interaction with other leagues, or specialize in a specific Abyssal faction. One of the important elements that we have heard loud and clear is that needing to do Abyss crafting on Waystones is quite annoying. So, we have removed that. In fact, we have removed instilling from Waystones as well. This mechanic felt mandatory on maps because it boosted the value of all other content, but it was both annoying to do and resulted in a lot of visual clutter.
yeah.
Instead, we are bringing back some of that power on tablets, which you don't need to craft nearly as often, since they last for 10 maps each. Once you defeat the Arbiter of Ash, you will be able to upgrade tablets to a rare with 4 mods using regular currency. Even this isn't enough to fully bring back the power you could have gotten from instilling, so we have also buffed the bonuses that tablets give. Going forward, we're not going to be adding any more crafting directly to Waystones outside of the basic currency, because it adds too much micromanagement.
Well, yeah, thank you.
But on that note, Fate of the Vaal does bring the ability to corrupt your tablets, hoping to get one of many different random outcomes.
We're not going to add any more crafting.
Now, with regard to
just
Delirium
to be
Fog,
clear, Val
even though
still
you shouldn't have to
needs
have it
the
on every
idea.
map anymore,
Yeah.
we still did want to make it less visually annoying. Delirium Fog has been toned down significantly, so you won't feel like you're just playing in a sea of grey.
Yes.
Another big source of problems in the endgame is the feeling of getting overwhelmed with monsters.
Well, yeah, they're all charging it.
In 031, we reduced the number of monsters in early endgame in order to help with this, but still scaled up the number of monsters to previous levels by the time you got to tier 15. Well, after letting this simmer for a while, we are still getting this kind of feedback. So we are no longer going to scale up the number of monsters you go as you get deeper into the endgame. Instead, we are scaling up the difficulty and rewards by the same amount. So to be clear, instead of increasing the number of monsters by 40%, they will instead drop 40% more items, grant 40% more experience, and have 40% more life. In addition to all
That
the
makes
normal
more
scaling
sense
they
to me.
get due
I
to
don't
being
wanna
higher
be,
level.
like, bombarded
This
by
only
shit
applies to
enemies.
regular monsters, not bosses. We have also reduced the speed modifiers that monsters can get sometimes, which also helps a lot with this. Now, we did have a large amount of content for endgame planned for 040, but unfortunately we just didn't get time to finish it. The scope was a bit too large, and so we would need to wait until 050 for that. But rest assured, there will be a ton of upgrades for the existing leagues, as well as new pinnacle bosses, and a significant overhaul to the Atlas passive tree coming soon. Now, another problem that becomes a much bigger issue in the endgame is game performance. And we have done a lot of work here. The primary issue is CPU load. And to address that, a lot of things have been optimized. And we have done a lot of work to take advantage of more of your CPU cores. You should see frame rates of at least 25% higher, and a lot less bad frame spikes during gameplay. It does make quite a big difference, especially on consoles. A lot more work in this area is ongoing, and you will continue to see performance improvements over the next few months. Of course, another important area is game balance, and we have made a lot of changes. Now, most of these we will save for the patch notes, but I'll do a quick summary of some of the numbers. As well as adding 11 new unique items, we have rebalanced dozens of others that are not currently used very often. We've also done a pass over lineage supports. 21 of them have been rebalanced, as well as adding 9 more. Alongside the 2 new Druid ascendancies, we have made balance changes to almost all the others, with some of them getting a grander rebalance, such as the Smith of Katava. Alongside the 20 plus new Druid skills, we've also rebalanced 90 other active skills across all the different classes. And to top it all off, there are also over 250 new passive skills added to the passive tree. These changes should go a long way to increase the viability of many more skills, uniques, and
250?
overall build variety that can tackle our most challenging content.
Did you see how big the skill tree was
Next up,
already?
we're going to be talking about our new supporter packs. Today, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Precursor and Kalgurin packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Precursor series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. First up, the Marble Statue character effect. Once you finally stay still for a moment, a podium rises up out of the ground to immortalize you, turning your skin to marble. When you next move, the stone crumbles around you. The precursors had mastery over gravity manipulation. So too can you, now with the Gravity Well portal. Witness the power of its pull as you approach it. Draw in enemies with your own gravitational pull with the Awakened Precursor armor set. The Precursors designed and built many mysterious ancient beings. This one used to serve as a scout that would patrol and tase intruders. Why salvage gear yourself when the Master of the Forge can do it for you? Molten gold spills out as the Forge Master breaks down your items. The Relic of the Precursors map device is a mysterious machine that sits atop ancient colossal statues. It keeps track of the number of charges consumed on your Precursor tablets used in the device. The Kalguran Pack series also contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Kalgurans had astounding skill in astronomy, being able to track cosmic events with absolute precision. Harnessing that skill, with the Astronomer's Level Up effect equipped, you too can now see exactly how long it took you to level up as it outputs the time in chat. The time taken to reach your last 3 levels is also displayed on the item, so you can link it when you have a time you're proud of. Crush unique enemies by unleashing the wrath of the lost Kalguran fleet, led formerly by Captain Heartland himself. A Kalguran seafarer needs armor fit for the treacherous seas of Rayclast. This set has you covered with the classic tricorn and, of course, a peg leg. The Lost Treasure weapon skins top off your appearance of a true raider of the seas. These gilded weapons can be applied to wands, two-hand maces, and shields. After a long day of plundering loot, retreat to the Kraken's Cove hideout, a home of some of the most deadly, ocean-dwelling creatures in Rayclast.
Love this.
Many ships have met their demise here. What
That's
better to
sick.
accompany you in Kraken's Cove than a kraken itself? Replace your stash with a dormant kraken waiting for its prey. As you approach, it will awaken and terrify both you and any guests in your hideout. Alongside this, an extra stash skin item will be granted to you, and when placed, will automatically open to any stash tab set with the currency affinity, to help having to navigate through your tabs. Additionally, any microtransactions from the supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 1. Thank you very much for all your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, at 11 AM NZ time, we'll post the patch notes. With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to playing alongside our fellow shapeshifting exiles, all while uncovering Lost Vale secrets by doing some dungeon crafting. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
Super sick. Super sick.
Welcome back, Exiles, to the Q&A portion. I am your host, Ziggy D, and today we're going to be touching on the design of the Druid and the fate of the Vale League while we gather some community questions. Then we'll deep dive into endgame, balance, and other game design topics. I am, of course, joined by game directors Jonathan Rogers and Mark Roberts. How you guys going today?
Oh, very good. I mean, you know, it's been a great one to work on this one. Like, I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's definitely great to see you again. And it feels like it's only been like no time at all since the last time you were here with the POE1 release.
It feels like only several weeks, and that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
We get to see you twice as often now, so that's fun.
Yeah, I'm around every 2 months or so now, roughly. It's great. I love it. Let's keep going. So I do have to open with this, though. Is like Druid looked a little bit weak, I think, in the demonstration demonstration video today.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that we have is like we're so concentrating on like just demonstrating how the mechanics work that we sort of forget to be like, okay, let's actually make sure the damage numbers that we're doing on this like test character we're filming here are actually like in line with what people actually normally expect. So yeah, there's just a few things there that we probably should have caught and made a little stronger there. But yeah, when you actually play it, it's certainly from the alpha feedback incredibly powerful. Like
Yes.
you know, the like, you know, we were seeing some people say, oh, you know, the wolf looks weak or whatever. Well, I can assure you that on alpha there's a bunch of people saying the wolf is super OP. So you know, it just comes down to the things you go through in order to demonstrate stuff.
I think we probably going to be worthwhile. We make some videos showing a bit more of the less demonstratey side and get them posted and stuff this week. Because honestly, you can just play it literally right now, and it's
Yeah, I've definitely been playing and recording a bit myself because I was like, when I first watched it as well, the draft, I was thinking, it's like, I don't really get a feel for what it feels like to actually play it.
Right,
like, there's good demonstration here of the mechanics, but yeah, I can understand how from your perspective, it'd be pretty easy to be like, oh, we want to communicate how this cool thing works and this cool thing works.
There's a fine line there for sure. Where if you get too hectic, people are like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just looking at a ruckus. And then, in this case, let's say we went on a little too far on the other side of the line, was just a bit too slow. And as a result, yes, it can look a bit weak. But
I think we'll try and get some like raw Druid gameplay out to people to understand.
Sure.
I think particularly for this class, because of the shape-shifting stuff, it's so hard for us to, normally we can look at something and be like, oh, that's just a demonstration. We kind of know what it would look like at endgame. But I think with the Druid, it's just so unusual. It's so different that it's actually hard to judge what it would feel like to even play it. And I'm happy for my hands on to say that like it's almost immediately like very smooth, the shape shifting of it, the movement of it, especially because like in your demonstrations, you're not really using dodge, roll, sprint, that sort of thing as well. Which makes a big difference.
I suppose one of the things we didn't really dwell on in the video as well is that we do actually have dodge roll. I mean, they're not actually rolls for the animals, but all the animals can like hop around and that kind of stuff. And that was honestly one of those things that was like kind of funny because initially we actually had it so when you dodge rolled, you would transform back into a human. And the reason we did that is because it's really hard to make animations for animals that like actually work correctly. Like we actually thought it was impossible, but then when we actually put it on alpha, there was the kind of visceral reaction of I want to still be a bear, like, you know, while I'm hopping around. So we ended up having to like work out like how can we make this possible? How can we make it so that you can actually do the dodge rolling as an animal? And that sort of ended up being pretty good, I would say.
And this was like clearly the classist, like the hardest class to design so far, and it took a bit longer. Like I think you were originally hoping to bring it out in a previous expansion.
Yeah, quite a while ago. But the thing is with it is that it's kind of like designing 4 classes in one, because not only do you have the situation where like obviously we want to have synergy between skills and stuff like that, and we can like look at that in a normal class and work out what those might be. But with this class, people want to be able to play just as a bear or just as a wolf, as well as people who want to play like dual with a human and a wolf, or people who just want to be a wolf and a bear and like all the different combinations. So we had to kind of come up with a way for like each line needs to be self-sufficient and that it's got all the tools that you need. But at the same time, you have to not have it so it feels like there's just duplication between them. We're like, oh, like this is just the same thing as what a bear has, but you know, you are a wolf instead. So we kind of have to like, it's like you need all the tools and yet you also need to have them feel different. And that just made it really, really tricky to get all of the things right with it. And then it didn't also help that, since the last time we were working on the Druid, way back when we showed it off in Gamescom 2023, we had WSD. And that is a whole other complication because, you know, like how can we make that work with the animal forms? It's like a whole thing. Like I'll tell you the wyvern, for example, like we had a hell of a time making it so that you could do the ranged attacks because you need to be able to walk while you're doing it. The wyvern's sitting there with its arms like planted on the ground, you know, like being able to walk while also spinning it. Yeah, it's like we went through so many iterations of that. So yeah, it was just a very tricky class overall, like just crazy.
I remember seeing some very goofy looking like wyvern like months and months ago.
Yeah,
we were like trying to, this is not working.
Right. Well, I also remember like for a long time the wolf was just like a dancing dog. It was just like it looked really silly. And like man, the wolf as well. I mean, it was really hard to get right, and because one of the things we really wanted to avoid was I didn't want that too much of that whole like man in a wolf suit vibe. Like I wanted to actually get into the feeling of like this is an actually different animal, which I think with the bear and the wyvern's way easier. With the wolf, it's like it's really hard not to just go back into that. So we had a lot of questions about like what even the locomotion was. How does it walk? Are we going to walk on 2 legs? Are we going to walk on 4? We ended up splitting the difference. You can do both, right? Like you get that when you're attacking and you can be upright walking on 2 legs. When you're walking, you run on 4, and you actually do get a speed boost while you're on 4 legs. Like as a wolf, just so after like 1 second of walking, you go down on 4 legs, you start moving a bit faster. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
An interesting thing there, I don't think is each form technically has a kind of passive benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously you got the running fast as a wolf. Can't remember exactly what the wyvern ones were, but like for the bear, for example, because you're just a bit bigger, you know, a bit of a tank. You actually do get armor, and armor applies to elemental damage as a thing, and like, you know, there's a kind of, which is like honestly, unless you actually click the bear keyword, is like undescribed everywhere.
Well, it was even more than that, because I was just looking at it in game before. The bear has like passive endurance charge generation.
Yes, it does.
Rage
From
expenditure.
rage expenditure, it does.
I was like, that's so cool.
yeah. So we really wanted to make sure that each of the different forms had things that can benefit the other forms. So like, it was really tricky to think, like, what are resources that a bear can generate? What are the resources that wolf can generate? What are the ones the wyvern can generate that the other ones can then use in order to kind of get that cross synergy? So that's kind of like one of the reasons why we had to kind of come up with all that stuff. And that, part of the trickiness.
And that caught me by surprise as well, because like technically it's mentioned, but I never really fully understood the idea that you can swap between the forms, like human to animal and back. Yeah, I figured that's what's going on here. But you can like leap in as a wolf and then immediately transform to a bear mid slam.
You absolutely can. So the thing with this is that you want to present a fantasy to someone as far as like what the UI is pushing you towards and all that sort of stuff. Like, there are going to be a lot of people who are like, I want to be a bear, and they just pick bear stuff and they go all bear, right? But at the same time, we're unconstrained in the sense that you can pick all the other stuff. You can use it at the same time. So one talisman, like effectively when you pick on a talisman from like wolf, bear, or wyvern, what that's giving you is the default attack, right? That's what you're actually picking, and that's all it is, right? And that often will guide you, like what skills you're picking and so on, but you can just use with that same talisman as many different animal skills as you would like. That just means that you've got that sort of free-flowing, like, you know, trying out different stuff, sort of combo gameplay that we, like to try and get. So, obviously there will just be a lot of people who just pick one thing, right? Like, I absolutely expect that. There's a lot of experimentation to do there if you want to do it.
Yeah, so you've tried to hit like making it so like people who just want like a simple straightforwards, like I just want to run out as bear and slam the ground, like that's certainly very possible there. But also you with this whole class, you had the problem of how do we make like a spellcaster and a melee attacker that's shapeshifter as well. I mean, this class has got a bit of everything.
For sure.
How did you make all that kind of like work together and solve that build problem of like, how do you actually scale these things together in a way that just one thing isn't way better than everything else?
Right. Well, I mean, it's always tricky, and Mark's obviously the one who handles a lot of the balance stuff, but I can see even just from a design perspective, so I just throw over the fence all my horrible stuff, and then you're like, how the hell am I going to balance this? Effectively, like, so even with the spellcaster side, so one of the things we initially wanted with the spellcasting is a lot of it's like over time type effects that, so for example, with the volcano being the really obvious one, right? Like, you can create this thing, and then you can turn into an animal and do other stuff at the same time. So we needed on the human side a lot of things that last for a long time. But the problem you then run into when you actually go to balance the thing is like, okay, well, if you've just got like 5 damage over time style spells, why not just cast all of them and then you don't have to ever do anything else, right? Like, so it's like that kind of stuff makes it really hard. So then you have to start thinking, okay, we want to make it so that you cast a long-term thing as a human, but then being an animal is going to augment that so that it improves it. So for example, with the tornado, it's got a similar mechanic to the little twisters that the hunters have, where ground effects can empower it with extra elemental stuff. And so then we're like, okay, well, if the animal forms are the ones that can create the ground effects, then that means that you're kind of like, you're going to want to do, like, to mix that with the tornado, you now have to have both the animal forms and the spellcaster stuff if you want to get all of that together. So it's just a lot of that thinking about how can an animal form aid a spell, how can a spell aid an animal form, like all the way through. And then, as I said, we throw it over the fence, and then Mark tries to work out what kind of numbers can actually make it.
It's a web of infinite difficulty, right? Because like we're talking about the 4 forms within the class, but each of these skills also synergizes with every other class and every other skill in the game. And it's becoming growingly more complicated, but that's also what's fun about the game and what all the things you can unlock and the crazy builds you can do. But I mean, like, this week's focus has been like, okay, we had all the, like, during our alpha testing and internal testing, we had like, there was the I want to be all forms going between. There was the I just want to be wolf, I just want to be bear, I just want to be a dragon. And now we're getting a lot more of I just want to cast nature plant skills and do plant stuff. And so it's like, okay, well, how do we make that work? Well, because they're quite long duration, so we're having a bunch of complexity with that as well. And it honestly it does just spiral into like, oh my God, there's 20 million variables here. But it's fun. And at the end of the day, as long as it is honestly fun to play, then honestly we're golden. So, I would say we're pretty much there on almost everything with this class. I'd actually say we're a little bit more prepared than normal. We've had a lot of testing.
Yeah.
Despite, I mean, partly because it's been in the works for so long. But yeah, it's, I don't know, like ultimately pretty fun. I'd say there's still something, obviously there's still more to do. There's obviously always more to do. But yeah, there's a lot going on, a lot of enjoyment. I saw yesterday, I was just like walking past someone's computer and, you know, someone was mentioning like, yeah, it's just fun placing 6 volcanoes and then just slamming on them. I was like, all right, sweet, you do you. Like, that's fine.
I was definitely enjoying obliterating bosses in bear form, like with dropping tornadoes, and there's the totem which you can summon in animal form.
Yep.
And then you're putting fishes down and they're exploding, and you're putting extra things on the ground and they're exploding. And so there was definitely some boss deletion going on there. So,
Even just walking past the just many entangles going out, and then there's that plant support gem. I'm like, all right, it's putting the new.
I see chat being like, no, Ziggy, don't get it nerfed. I do have to admit that I did already get one thing, let's say fixed.
Okay.
There was a thing that was like double generating rage. So I'm like, I don't know if this is intended.
Right.
And like, no, the designer said that's probably not intended. Thanks, Ziggy. I'm like,
I don't know. We'll see where that goes, because I was like, no, that's fine.
This is a fish.
It made it to me, and I was like, no, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because it generates rage when you first slam, and then the fishes, every time they pulse, it generates rage. I'm like,
really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't even know that.
Because like the totem's making it pulse, and that's generating rage.
Right.
I'm like, that doesn't seem intended.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I love that, because that's like
Okay.
ridiculously powerful. That feels like way permissive. I was like, this feels illegal, but that's like, you got to let a few things in there that feel
fine.
illegal.
It's doing what the skill says.
I may not have, maybe I didn't get enough. Okay, cool.
I don't know. They might have changed it. I'll find out afterwards. I just throw my opinion in there. I don't want to necessarily be like, you know, I try and make sure with a lot of these balanced discussions, it's not like, you know, I'm just an authority on the matter. I want to actually discuss these things through, because maybe it isn't actually fine, but you know, my first instinct is like, yeah, like let it run wild. Like, what's the problem? You know, so
yeah, you got to.
We'll see what happens, but whatever. They don't know what the problem is, so don't worry. Oh, now they do. Thanks, you've ruined it. Now people will know if it changed, and now
they'll see the thing not generating rage, and let's see that line of text. Now that's the Ziggy line of text. I'm developing a reputation now. Just helping finding bugs. It's okay. So, like the shapeshifting stuff comes from this trinket. The talisman?
Yeah, the animal talisman.
And is there any limitation to kind of like putting that on another class and just say like, I am playing my Mace Marauder or my Quarterstaff Monk, and I want to do a wolf leap slam that marks targets?
You can do it. In fact, it was one of the things initially that, it's funny with the audio team, because initially like, oh, we want to record like bear lines for the Druid the whole time. And I'm like, hey guys, remember, anyone can turn into this animal. You're actually going to commit to every single class is going to have like three different extra versions of every single line the character can deliver. It's like, yeah, that's a bit tricky. So we ended up going with a voice mod in the end. But that was one of those.
It's like their thoughts. I think it shifts to. It almost sounds like, to me, that's what it sounds like. They're like, they're thinking it or something like that.
But it would have been completely impossible to record every single line an additional 3 times for every character class.
Voice actors, everybody come back and you need to roar like a bear.
Exactly. Effectively, every class can be an animal. It's exactly the same as the weapon restriction. Ultimately, being a bear is the same as having a mace, which may sound a little bit odd, but that is actually how it works and what allows having.
Whoa. I didn't even think about that. Wait, so you can use mace skills while in bear?
No. What I meant was that it's the same. I mean, it's the same in the sense that it's just a weapon type, right? Like,
right. Okay.
Now we have to make that possible.
Well, I mean, you can turn into Helm as a bear.
That's unique item territory for the future.
It often gets talked about like the idea of like, why are things like so weapon locked? And I've always maintained the position that you guys want to kind of do that as much as possible initially, and then in the future you can blur the lines a little bit. Like there's maybe in the future you're like, maybe this skill has a way of crossing over.
We can do, but the thing is, a lot of the identity of a weapon type really comes a lot from what it can do, and so that's the main reason why we do it that way. But but the thing is as well, with the weapon swapping, you can still use skills from different elements of different weapons and things like that.
The thing is, like, it's funny that you mentioned that with the bear, because like definitely some of the bears, I noticed parallels between some of its skills and some of the mace stuff, and I could see absolutely combining like this bear skill that places fishes with the other stuff on the mace that triggers the fishes. Like there's like very obvious like cross synergy build.
Well, I mean, they're adjacent classes, right? I mean, you've got like strength versus strength int. Like we want to be able to make sure that some of those key elements do like cross over, just so that to open up the way to have synergy between the different classes more easily.
Yeah. Well, as you get more classes and more skills, you obviously get an overlap of the kind of mechanics and keywords and stuff, iterating, and thus they will always cross synergize. And where there still will be new things a class offers, yes, there's always going to be a bunch of stuff that they use that will then interact with all the other skills. So.
Yeah, and now you added plants and plants that grow from rain, and there's a plant keyword that has overgrown as a keyword.
Yeah. Like, it's interesting actually, those ones, because they're on completely opposite sides of the tree. You've got dex versus strength int, and that's been a little bit hard to kind of like get the like where the mechanic should go on one side versus the other. So where we ended up going is that the nature side of things for plants on the strength int is like you've got the poison on the dex side versus the kind of like just pure nature like physical damage spells on the on the strength int side. But that's been fun though, because now it's actually been really fun designing the supports, because the more classes we have, the more we can start to think, okay, like here's a support that's for something obscure. How can we make it so this can apply to some other kind of thing on the opposite side of the tree, where like now you've got some interesting interaction. So there could be some kind of like thing where growing plants as a ranger could be sort of something. I mean, like I can't say I've tested the potential there myself, but like we made all of that work. All the plants can, like plant stuff all has mechanics around like watering the rangers plants is like a thing. They all have ways that works.
I mean, that definitely opens up interesting party options in the future as well. Like I do like the idea of being like a rainy druid watering.
It's a thing. It's easily a thing. It's not even hard to do as well.
Right.
It's kind of just like, thanks Druid, you buffed poison rangers. Yeah. Like, that's kind of just what happened.
Yeah.
Right, good, yes. And the rain buffing lightning skills as well by increasing shock chance.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild how much stuff you've just jammed into one class here. How did you like kind of settle on a identity for the wyvern in particular? I feel like people know what a bear is, people know what the wolf is. And even a lot of the like druid stuff is pre-established as like, you got plants and you got like nature and you got like lifting up the earth, that sort of stuff.
Well, we really wanted to have a third form that was a little bit out there in terms of different from what you'd seen in another game. I mean, obviously, like every game that's got transformations has the bear and the wolf, right? That's just like the staple. But and actually, funnily enough, for that reason, we couldn't not do it. There was actually a period there where we weren't going to have a wolf because we were a little bit unhappy. Yeah, with us, and it's just like, well, exactly right. That was the reaction. That was the reaction of like all the fairies come out of the woodwork and like, you gotta have a wolf.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you? Exactly right. So we're like, okay, we'll have a yeah, exactly. Don't anger them. So that was a real concern. So we decided to go. We needed the two familiar, then we needed one that was a little bit more out there. And really, when we're looking at the bear and the wolf, it was kind of like we want the slower, harder hitting. We want the faster and like speedy kind of version, obviously being the wolf. We also wanted something that had some range elements, and then a sort of more spellcastery vibe a little bit more. And so we sort of thought about it a little bit like, what animal is ranged? Like it's not really, there's like kind of not a lot out there that can really sort of do that. And so eventually we settled on the wyvern. I mean, someone of course at one point was like, how about a dragon? And we're like, what the heck? What are you talking about? But then eventually I thought about it and it's like, actually, you know what? There's some potential here.
If you suggested to me, I told you not to do it because like there's no way you could make it look good and not look stupid. But
it eventually we did get there.
It actually looks pretty cool. But it's kind of a spell blade almost. Like it's got a bit of range stuff, but it's got a bit of like spell kind of melee things going on.
I mean, as it should be for strength int.
Yeah, and you were asking what the passive buffs were. I was looking at it before. It's like it's got buffs to freeze, shock, and energy regeneration actually like as well. Like energy recharge.
It's a shame you knew. The reason I was actually being vague is I knew what they were. I just wanted to change them.
I mean, that's fine. Do something
Sorry
cool.
for my slight disingenuousness.
Cool.
I kind of feel like they shouldn't. I didn't want them to be offensive benefits.
Yeah, they're supposed to be defensive.
It forces you into certain build types. Whereas like if they're utility or defensive, that way they will work across all board. That's my general philosophy. So I was like, I feel like I want to have a go at trying to design the energy shield thing. I don't mind. I wanted to have a go at designing stuff that's more utility or defensive only, and that way you don't feel like, I should have to play lightning or fire because it gets the passive benefits.
okay.
That way, if you wanted to do a kind of weird out there thing, it doesn't feel so bad. But we'll see what I come up with.
Do you have an idea, or are you still figuring it out?
Nah, I got no clue. I don't know. You could play on the fact it's got like, wings to something defensive for block, or something for hard carapace maybe, or
really, I would do something like that.
I don't know, the fact it has wings, something to do with the
So
wings,
much
right?
dragon lore to pull from. I
know.
got like a book that my daughter really likes to read that's like full of dragon lore. I'll send you some ideas.
All right, sweet, yeah. Dragon, they hoard gold, right? Gold finds.
Yeah,
that sounds like it.
Eat piles of gold for buffs. Or something.
There's gold over there. Quick shapeshift, pick it up. Shapeshift back. No, I'm obviously joking. Please, I'm not doing that.
Gold find, no, please don't. Mandatory dragon gold find build. I remember it's kind of funny though. It's distinctly POE. So the druid is this like strength int class, and with the Templar we had the idea
Ash,
more
how's it
of
going?
like, you've got that armor energy shield stuff, but that's still the case here, as that's the strength int base. But I feel like the energy shield stuff is not as iconic to druid. How have you incorporated that and made it feel like something that makes sense, or like in what ways have you incorporated that to the druid? I feel like it's not obvious.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit off in terms of the feel there, but at the end of the day, we kind of don't really have many options as far as what we can do. I mean, like that, it is important.
Pretty
for it
good.
To be,
We just got some
that it
good
has
news
that,
here
know,
from
like
Path of
armor energy
Exile
shield
2,
approach.
so I'm really
there's a few sort of
excited to
interesting
crack into this
what do you
thing.
call
I think we
spirit
got like
reservation
maybe
gems. I don't
1
know
or
what the
2 more days left
that sort of
finishing
interact with
up
that stuff in
Hades
an individual
2
way. So there's like
and beating
that
Chronos. That's on my
bark
list
skin
Gotta beat
thing
Chronos.
that
Gotta
effectively
beat,
allows you to take
Prometheus.
advantage of
And
energy
then
shield
I
to
think we're
generate
gonna start
armor. Like so when you lose energy shield, you get armor instead, and like creates little bits of bark on your skin as you. There's like things like that that we've added, but it's a little bit of a thematically weird thing. I think probably the weirdest part about that is like, yeah, you're gonna have energy shield as a bear. It's a bit strange, like getting hit as a bear and then there's a little energy shield pop. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It kind of has to be that way.
Oh,
you don't have to.
Well, I suppose sure you can go full armor if you want, but
I feel like because there's like such a range of identities within that one class as well, that you've got the bear, maybe that doesn't really align as much with that. There's definitely more armor stuff.
Yes, you could build more strength when you depending on what animal form you're playing, of course.
Yeah, whereas like the wyvern potentially has more of that kind of magical aspect to it, where it's like that's
I mean, and that's why the wyvern itself does get the benefits to energy shield, and the bear does get the benefits to armor in order to kind of make it so you are depending on what animal form you're going, there's a bit of alignment in the defenses there.
I mean, really, it's the tree that inspires and motivates this, right? Like a sorceress could be on the bottom side of the tree and still have the same skill set, and obviously the damage nodes are a bit weird, but it could work. There's nothing saying. I mean, that's part of the beauty of the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, I had that experience where I was like, because it wasn't as clear, I was almost inventing my own lore there a little bit, where I was specking the regen from the druid and then the zealot's oath right there. I'm like, oh, this actually like, you're converting your natural kind of like life regen into energy shield. This is kind of the druid's thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, that is a way for sure. Like Keystones certainly are pretty powerful, and we have a bunch of, I think there's an extra. I can't remember what it's doing. There's one that says "Do not translate" on it, so it's in progress. But yeah, we were playing around with trying to have some armor, energy shield, more hybrid stuff going on with the keystones there. It was based on what's it called? POE1's is it Divine Shield? Is that the name of the keystone? I can't remember. Too many names. But it's based on that, but not exactly the same. Like a derivative of that we're trying to get going. But yeah, it's just because I was like, we need more keystones that I feel more druidy, and I know there's a rage one there that is embracing the animal ferocity, where it like what does it do? It's like doubles your maximum rage, but makes you don't get inherent bonuses from rage. So it's like if you really want to do the skills that are rage consumers, like rampage, and you just want to rampage for as much time as possible, you obviously go for that keystone. You lose the benefits of rage, but you get to rampage around for twice as long. Cool. So a few things like that we're trying to add that are thematic as well. And I think that's another one of the really cool parts about adding a class is 1/6 of our tree was just filled with just placeholder garbage. Like actually, like there's a giant link thing there. There's no links in the game really. It's like, what are we doing with that? It's like, and so I was like, well, that looked like a vine. Just make that a plant thing. And so now it's a plant thing that talks about overgrown plants. But we filled in that whole bit of the tree. And guess what? Now witches and sorceresses have more energy shield stuff on that kind of direction around towards the druid, and warrior has more, and and I don't just mean energy shield, I mean everything, all the mechanics, right? All the int mechanics are kind of there, the strength mechanics, everything. So
it's nice we finally have a class in every different part of the tree, so like we don't have this like weird open stuff anymore.
Yeah, that area of the tree was a little strange. I mean, it's such a massive tree already, and you're adding more to it, and then like I have to wonder, like, you added this oracle class. Like, I saw the shaman one, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I expected. But then I saw the oracle, and you guys had like 130 extra
so
passives.
So
Thank you. I appreciate that. That'd be
Like,
great.
why do you do this to yourself? Like, that seems ridiculous.
it's fun.
because it's cool.
Okay.
Because it's cool.
That's
really
the
is
best
the
reason you could ask for, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
What more could you want?
I really went through. I mean, I know we showed 2 examples, but I was like, really want to make sure there's like cool off spec stuff here. I want to make sure that if you want to be able to get more of a certain thing, this is a way to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, it still costs passive points to allocate, right? So it's more about, maybe you want some stuff that normally you'd have to go to the deck section for and get, maybe some projectile related stuff, and now you can get it up there because it allows for some kind of weird off class, and it was all themed around, if you got to live your life again, what would you change? Like, what different paths would you take? And so it's this interesting, like,
Quite a bit
I don't know.
Potential crisis of
But
the node.
I don't know that we have enough time. for that.
Initially, I always do write my little blurbs about them to get them in the live stream, and I was like, it's got all the passives not yet added to the game. I thought it was an interesting way of looking at it. Not that that's actually how it is, but I thought it was like a kind of, it's like lessons you learn, you get to now use in advance kind of. I thought it was just a cool thematic thing that linked to the class. It's easy, by the way, as designers to see that kind of thing and go, we have a million things to do. Like, is that really, like, that's too much time. Too much work, right? And I'm just like,
Sad, isn't it?
if we say that about everything, you get nothing cool.
Thank you very much.
And so it's that, and I mean, even
Happy
the
to have you
shamans, like
guys.
runes revealing hidden
is
powers,
everybody?
like we're setting ourselves up for a large amount of cumulative time over a while, right? Any rune we add, anything, like we have to add and consider
oh,
the
no,
shaman
we'll do that as
stats,
well.
and that's another whole axis of things. We have to meta balance every league, and same with the oracle passives, and every time we change the tree, and like when we eventually add the Templar, we're going to have to relocate all those nodes because that tree's going to get a giant. Now we've got 2.5 classes in one section, but it's worth it. It's actually worth it. You add so many builds, so many cool things, and if you don't want to deal with it, just pick another class. It's fine. You don't have to, or pick other nodes on the same class. You don't have to take that node. So.
I think this like very clearly communicates that you're also okay with this idea of there being just like hidden cool stuff to discover that you're not going to know ahead of time, because you can't like look at the class options on the character selection screen and know what the passives are going to be that are hidden behind the oracle ascendancy, right? So it's like, yeah, that's cool, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you just,
love
like,
that.
I mean, look, there's always going to be community tools, and they're going to come up with a way to make that, to the build guides and all that kind of stuff. So like.
I love the secret stuff.
Yeah.
I actually got my secret Abyssal Lich.
Yeah, wild.
It was an actual a secret, and maybe there's more. Well,
You want to
never
do
know.
more of that, don't you? I can tell. Look at him. He wants to do more.
Of course, I love it. I love people having cool secret things they can find, and it isn't just like 1000% pre-planned or out of the gate. Like, I understand the need to plan. I understand the need to have confidence in a build, and you don't want to go in and only realize you've made the wrong decisions and stuff like that, for sure. But I definitely want to find that balance where you have that while you also get your cool secrets that you get to add to the game that are fun.
Yeah. I think there's like a couple more chat questions on Druid, but we'll try and move on to the other stuff soon, because I know people want to talk about the other thing. I could talk about Druid all day. I think the design's super interesting here. But some of the questions were that I think people are a bit confused about like the talismans and the forms and how that stuff works. So the talismans are effectively just like another weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
And things like attack speed, movement speed on gear and everything will affect you in your movement.
Absolutely.
And
right?
with forms. It's
Absolutely.
not like, I think because a lot of other games do it where when you change form, like all of a sudden, oh, your weapon's not affecting you, or this thing's not affecting you.
Well, I mean, effectively, so we're doing the changing form by utilizing weapon swap. So you've got 2 weapon sets inherently, and the talisman effectively serves as your weapon Like if you're playing a druid, you are going to have to learn how to use weapon specialization passives and stuff like that if you want to have the spellcaster and melee thing. Now, a lot of the passive tree nodes, like in the druid section of the tree, all have like attack and spell damage and that kind of stuff.
All right, yeah,
so
I think
certainly for most of the start of the class, you don't have to worry about it. But as you get deeper in, and if you want to do hybrid spell attack, you are going to have to think about like, okay, what are my attack passives, what are my spell passives, and do that.
I was actually surprised at how simple and straightforward it was to do. So like the weapon specialization tree thing, you still do need to think about and understand how that works. But the basics, like
happy to have you guys.
Skills,
Thank you so much, Caitlin, for doing that.
No, you don't have to worry about that part.
Certainly, it's made it more lively in here.
Because this has always been the rule.
With your new screens and everything for me, that's going to be great.
So therefore, you don't have to actually tweak it. You just put it in and it kind of works.
Like if I tried to use my spell, it would shift to human automatically and use the staff. And so like that was all automated, and I didn't have to like program anything like that.
Right.
Like I have on some other builds, I guess, where it's a bit.
Yeah, mostly that's just because you have get into a situation with those where because it's usable on both. Now you have to start going in there and tweaking that stuff. But here, because it makes it much simpler when you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so there's a decent onboarding there, given the potential complexity of that. All right, so we'll move on now to the Fate of the Vaal expansion, and there's definitely more of a like clear divide between the two things, and you even actually made two separate trailers this time around.
Well, it would have been super weird to have these like two completely clashing themes in the trailer. So in the end we were like, that's like normally of course we'd make one trailer with everything, but we're kind of like, man, it's really hard to unify these two things in a kind of reasonable way. So in the end we decided to go with two trailers and just like show the content completely separately.
And they're not connected. Like
not at all, right?
They're not. Aside from both of them having a buttocks in it, they're not connected.
That happened. Yeah, that was total accident, by the way. It was just like two totally unrelated.
Yeah, sure.
Now, what's going on with this video over here?
I was praising the equality of it. Like,
right.
So I was great. There's buttocks for everyone here in this trailer. Excellent. Thank you. So this expansion
how's everybody doing today?
And we saw this a little bit where you tried to work in the previous League mechanics into like story quest stuff, which I was super keen on. This expansion definitely feels much more deeply linked into the campaign and story, to the point where like Doriani's saying, "Have a good time to try and change these things that happen in the campaign." I was like, "This feels like a major campaign story beat."
Yes, I mean, on now. There's a few things going on there. So, like initially, this League, unlike I think what we've done too much of in the past, the storyline develops quite a lot more kind of like through the campaign with different events that happen and sort of link in a lot. And part of the reason originally for that is that one of the things we sort of don't like necessarily about what leagues do is like you've got the situation where you like walk out of town in like, you know, literally the first area, and it's like some eldritch entity is immediately recruiting your services. You know what I mean? Like it's actually very like unfortunate.
Put this rusty thing in your body.
Exactly right. So we kind of wanted to try and make sure that there's a little bit more like it doesn't feel like the world is on your shoulders like right from the get go. Like there's actually like a little bit a growth of epicness throughout the League. So like if we'd have had it so it's like you're time traveling into the past, like the moment you walk out the gate. It's like, okay, it's just not quite right. So we decided what we'll do is we'll make so that, you know, there is the temple. We've got a kind of like almost a baby version of the mechanic where you've got a lesser number of rooms, like it's kind of a bit simpler, like to start out with. And then once you pass the sort of key point in the storyline, then it like really opens up. You go into the past, you've got a little more story stuff going on. It did add quite a lot more work to kind of have to make two versions of a bunch of things and that kind of stuff. But I think it is worth it because it means that it feels like the League has a lot more going on. It just doesn't kind of you don't break immediately the feeling of the world, which has been a problem in the past.
I have very strong opinions on this one. It's like dark horror, gothic, secondary 3 dimensions deep of, you know, like I'm in the past or in some sort of demon realm now. I don't know what's going on.
It's fine as you go, but this is actually one of the challenges I think we're going to have just designing leagues generally, is that they're going to require a bit more work to make them feel right. I mean, even just something as simple as like the Vaal sacrifice circles that you get throughout the world. Normally what we would have done is like make one thing and call it a day. Here what we've done is we've got like 10 or more. There's a ton of variations of those where for like each act we're like in like each area we're thinking like, okay, which like we need more of these so that we can use them so they feel natural in the place where they are, like do a bit of material reskin, stuff like that. Like that's kind of the stuff that we now need to do to sort of make it feel like you're not breaking
like
the world stuff.
the POE1 style, you know, betrayal basement.
All right. I think
you know,
that
you just okay, so there's just a
randomly.
basement everywhere like in the mud flats. Like, okay, you know, that just doesn't fly anymore at all. So like we want to make sure that these things are way more believable.
Right.
Like you are actually convinced. You're like, you know, this makes sense. You know, I'm not just in a basement in the mud flat in a swamp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Vial is a very distinct thing, and it's very like tied to Act 3 as well. So I was a bit worried about like.
Yeah, I do.
Like,
so I'm actually going to be playing this game that they're talking about, Path of Exile 2.
Make sure that it
but right now,
well, I mean, yeah, it's a matter of making it feel like there's some ancient ruin. Then later someone came along, like some Ezomites went there and they built some stones around it because they're like, well, what is this thing? Like, we just thought a little bit about like how would the culture here have reacted to the fact that there was this ancient ruin from long ago in this location and that kind of thing.
Nomination.
Yeah, okay, interesting. And you mentioned to me that this
check out all
this
the
is the bar for
nominated
what you want to be
games.
doing. This is the quality of what
yeah. So I'd say that like it does sort of. I would say here like the level of polish and stuff that we're doing, like the amount of content that a league needs to actually be good. Like you know, obviously when we did 020, the league was a little bit like, you know, it was just the Asmerian spirits, and like, I mean, it was a league, but it wasn't really. Didn't have like the depth of content and stuff that you needed. And then with 030, I think we did a lot better. Like it came a lot better, but I still don't think we quite got there in terms of
like
the
POE1 level kind of.
Yeah. And then this one here, I think like, you know, you get up to the level of quality that we really want to be delivering in POE2, like, you know, post release and everything, and like the kind of the amount of content you need for a league. Like it needs to be quite sizable and good. And it did take a lot of effort, but I think it's worth it because you sort of shows you what we can do when we.
What kind of games are you? Do you like playing video games?
Locked in, committing to for expansions.
Well, hopefully I don't come to regret it, but you know, it's and honestly the scope did explode a little bit because when we I think that one of the things so when I initially designed the league, I was kind of like, okay, we're going to have like some limited number of rooms. We kind of spec'd it out, and like we like, you know, and each one will have a few levels, and it kind of didn't seem like it was that large. But really, in the context of POE2, it's like, well, if you're going to spend effort to upgrade a room, it needs to feel meaningfully different and have meaningfully better rewards and all that stuff. And it pretty soon expands into like a really huge list of like different combat encounter mechanics and different like crafting mechanics and different rewards and everything. Like there are so many new rewards and things in just in the temple. It's crazy. Like, you know, there's a lot there. Like certainly the number of expanded crafting options and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I mean, you know, we could take some inspiration from what POE1 did with Incursion, you know, in terms of double crops and stuff, but we had to make it work in a POE2 context. You know, there's just a lot there.
Yeah, I've followed your progress with designing this one from the very beginning.
Yeah, the funny thing is about that is that it actually came from a game that you recommended that I play.
I love the game.
No. So you recommended that I play this game called Loop Hero, and I really enjoyed it. And then, I mean, everyone's going to think that the game were inspired by Blueprints, but it actually wasn't. It was Loop Hero, and
it was so good because I told you about that game, and then it was like a week later or something, you sent me a message like, "Hey, I've made this little program."
Yeah. So I prototyped up like a thing that's for what would become the UI for Incursion. We actually ended up. It's funny because this is like the first league I've actually personally done code on in like quite a long time.
You really got into it.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's a real fun, just like evening thing to like go and just like, you know, work on the design. One of the great things about doing that is that I got to make so many design changes.
I didn't buy Pokemon
for
it because I've heard bad reviews or mixed reviews. I shouldn't even say bad.
Necessarily would have gone in the same way if I was getting other people to do it. So yeah, that was really fun. And you know, just make a, you know, and then effectively the back of it is like the code that I wrote, but obviously the UI of it is like a whole thing that a bunch of other people worked on.
In League of Legends, I played League of Legends.
But yeah, that was a
long time.
Yeah,
I haven't streamed it
about this one that grabbed you so much.
I have played it for a while.
You got so involved and so personally, like working on it at home.
Yeah, I just really enjoy this kind of like little game within a game, like little metagame things. So just that dungeon design thing is just a really fun thing for me.
Tile placing.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Love a good tile place.
You know, and I just like coming up with all the little ways that they can interact and that kind of thing, and you know, try to make each feel a bit different and that kind of stuff. It's just a good time.
Yeah, and it's got this like iterative design where you're building a temple, you run it like it's a really small one at first, and then it crumbles a bit, but you're still kind of building on what you're doing each time. Yeah. It's like a weird kind of like roguelike-y thing without being a roguelike itself.
Yeah,
exactly. So with that design then, I'm curious, like does it like fully reset at some point? Like for example, when you kill at Zeri?
It never fully resets, but when you kill at Zeri or defeat an architect, quite a lot of the temple gets destroyed. So there's this kind of destabilization thing. It goes back to not the start, but kind of I think removes like 2/3 of the rooms. There's some number like that it gets rid of at that point, and then you kind of have to build up again. So that's just.
I was saying
that effectively means
for
that,
Pokemon,
like,
do you like
when you do
the,
those
the
options,
game?
you're getting,
I've
like,
just
new
bought a
reward rooms and things to
Nintendo
play, so it's giving you
Switch,
new goals, and then you have to
I
work towards those
haven't
goals again. And then ideally
played
those
the
reward
Pokemon
rooms can be
game yet.
rewarding enough.
I've
But
heard
the
some
benefit
mixed
of
reviews
going
about
back to smaller is, I'd say the negative of going back to smaller is completely outweighed by the benefits you're getting from the extra rooms that you're able to place.
So you can juice it a fair bit too.
You can, yeah.
There's a lot of like modifiers that are getting added on by each room, and you can place quite a lot of them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
That's right.
Is there? Do you foresee people building out like a huge temple and then kind of not having it decay as much as possible?
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean,
it's
absolutely intended that you'll do that. I mean, once you've defeated Zeri enough times, you've got the uniques from there, and
So
you've done
it
like
is
other things like
on
that. Then
here.
you absolutely will. Like probably want like for ultra end game play when you really want like the most challenging stuff and you're just like looking to get like as many double corrupts as you can and stuff like that. You're probably going to want to keep the temple large and specifically not do the stuff that would cause it to destabilize, because if you don't kill the architect and you don't kill it Zeri, then it will it'll only pull you back. I can't remember the exact number of rooms, but there's some number of rooms that go away when it's quite full, and then you can just juice it really high and have really challenging in-game scaling tier of stuff. Because one of the things we were sort of concerned about is that there is some in-game content that just doesn't really scale as hard as it needs to scale in order to make it properly in-game viable.
Yeah,
we wanted to make sure that this was not the case here, that it actually does scale enough
from the window itself.
Okay, so like designed to be pretty farmable and to be pretty late game relevant.
Of course, yeah.
It gets pretty hectic with all those mods.
Yeah.
With how many rooms are on
I'm
there.
so
and
bad at this OBS
But also
thing.
just other things that you want to do, like so for example at the start of the game you can only you can't like store up temple runs, as it were. As you get into the game, then now we start to have it so that you can store up more runs, so that you can like map for a while, then like do a bunch of incursions.
I think we have it that eventually you can do 60 maps and then temples, and then 60 maps, then temples.
If you want. So you can